Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network.
We're in conversation with Nanaimo Mayor John Rattan and Acting Mayor Ted Greaves today. On today's show, the inaugural flight from Nanaimo to Calgary direct, a milestone for Gabriola Island with Cats Alive, and a road trip in Kamloops. That and more in the next 30 minutes. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We'll be talking with Acting Mayor Ted Greaves and Nanaimo Mayor John Rattan a bit later on in this edition of Go Island. But first, a big milestone for the Harbour City this week. A flight from Calgary to Nanaimo made its inaugural trip. I hope to make that trip myself one day, just a quick little flight from Nanaimo to Calgary. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We are talking with Acting Mayor Ted Greaves because John Rattan lives in Lantzville. It was not on the agenda at Monday night's council meeting, but it was a big issue at the Committee of the Whole meeting a week prior. Nanaimo is going to be providing the District of Lantzville water. Now, I've heard that we don't even have enough water in Nanaimo to supply our own citizens past the year 2020. So what is the value reasoning behind providing it to somebody else?
Well, actually, that's a bit of a misnomer. We have the water. We don't have the capacity to store the water.
Okay.
So that's the difference. As you can see today, it's raining out and there's lots of water. Just that we have to decide on how we're going to store it, where we're going to store it. Do we need a new dam? Or a dam that's built a little higher? We have the South Forks Dam.
Now, is this a dam that would have to be created and built whether we were supplying to Lantzville or not, or
yes.
are we doing this just because of that?
No,
Okay.
We would have to do it whether or not. And also we've got a deal with Harmac that we're working on. Maybe they could supply us with water as well.
Some conversations I've had off camera, once you supply the water, how much control is there in how that water is being used? I know there's a foothills development in Lantzville that water has been a big issue to proceed
yes.
with that development. So
yes.
are they going to be able to then benefit because of us doing what the development can't do on its own?
I think eventually they will benefit, eventually. But right now our plan is to supply the upper Lantzville with about 500 in total lots with water. And after that, there'll be 50 each year. New development supplied with water.
And they're all on well right now?
They're all on well right now. So, and you know, the water isn't exactly, they have boron in some of the water and it's not reliable and it's, you know, it's not potable, some of it. So that's what any good neighbor does. He supplies his neighbor with water and we have it right now.
It's being provided at retail rate. Are we going to be making any money off of this? Is that a win for us or is it purely good neighbor relations?
Both. It's, you know, we're, as people know, the money that we pay towards our water, our user rates, and same as Lantzville paying the same thing. So it's a retail rate. They'll be paid the same as Nanaimo pays.
Okay. This is going to be quite controversial, I think, as things develop in the next few months. Are you expecting a lot of public feedback on this issue?
I haven't yet, and I don't really expect, there's nothing extraordinary about this. I mean, you could relate that to Victoria Oak Bay Saanich situation. They're supplying water. You know, it's a community affair. You've got the water. Water's a human right. It's a neighbor. They need the water. We have the water. We supply them with water.
A couple of details that came out that Lantzville will be paying the costs for connecting to our water system. Any other things that you want to just clarify for people in the process of Lantzville getting water?
Well, they'll have the same conservation measures that we have, and they can't supply to golf courses and farming, industrial farming. There's 5 or 6 different things that they have to go by, but it's nothing out of the extraordinary. It's the same as us, and I think we're happy with what we've completed with this MOU.
Excellent, thank you. Acting Mayor Ted Greaves. John Rattan can't speak on the issue because he lives in Lantzville. We'll be back with more in conversation with the mayors, plural, today after a short break. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We're in conversation with Acting Mayor Ted Greaves talking about the Downtown Nanaimo Business Improvement Association. A bylaw was passed at City Council on Monday night approving city funding for $225,000 per year over the course of the next 5 years. Some people complaining that we're the only city in the province doing this. Why are we doing this?
Oh, I think it had to be done in the past, let's say a decade ago. The downtown was getting really run down, and there's no one really to take charge to look after it, and there has to be someone specific to do that. And I think there's nobody better than the businesses downtown, and it affects them directly, financially and otherwise. And so I think that's originally why it came about.
Do you think if the city removed the funding that they're matching, because there's about $225,000 raised through the businesses themselves, would then the other half of that funding kind of dissipate and there'd be zero going into?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. I really can't answer that. I just think it's a good process. We get the money from whom we should get it from, and the matching part of it makes it even better. And you know, you can do a lot of things with a lot of money. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could apply that philosophy to many aspects of my life. All you need is a lot of money to do a lot of things. We're going to throw things over now to Gabriola Island. It's a community who has managed to do something that other communities have not yet been able to do: find homes for all of their unhomed cats. Still ahead today on Go Island, Cats Alive, homes for all on Gabriola Island, and more scooters are cruising our streets. Are they safe? That and more still to come today on Go Island. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. Some discussion at Monday night's council meeting around the expansion and amalgamation of the Nanaimo Art Gallery. As you may or may not know, there is a campus, a Vancouver Island University campus location for the Art Gallery, as well as one downtown, that creates a whole lot of confusion and challenges in bringing people into the gallery for visits. And now there's talk about bringing them all together. What is the biggest challenge in putting our art gallery in one location?
Well, it's more than talk now, because remember, at last night's council meeting, it was unanimously agreed to support the idea. So council has agreed to support the arts in this respect. And the 150 Commercial Street address, the city-owned building there, the former CIBC bank building, will now be the new home for the Art Centre. And we are going to, as you point out, consolidate the art display that's at VIU as well into one location. And really, we're pretty excited about it, because I know the arts community has some grand plans. We want to see another major attraction downtown, which I think this will do. And yeah, it's a good fit and lots of support.
Were there any dollar figures thrown around last night? Do we know at this stage how much that's going to cost, and how state-of-the-art is it going to be when it's done?
State-of-the-art art show?
State-of-the-art art gallery, well, yes, that's what we need.
Well, that's always important. And no, I think as the figures unfold, there'll be a certain cost to carry this feature, like it is most of the city-owned buildings, the Port Theatre and so on, the VICC, there's obviously a carrying cost involved. But the Art Centre has some plans, and they want to see about the possible selling of artwork, and trying to bring in more and more private funding as they move along. And so I'm optimistic they can achieve it. They're very enthusiastic, very motivated, and I think they've got a grand plan.
And I know there are some challenges when we're in there. It is a bank, and it's not really set up to display art or work within that environment from a television perspective. And there's a lot of other arts groups working out of the building that this will impact. And the whole concept when that building was put together was to be a center for the arts, everybody under one roof and working in synchronicity with each other. And now some people are going to have to be finding some new homes. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's a reality.
No, well, that's true. But you know, I think we really understand that this was an art center. It will be an art center, and the old bank building has one big asset, and that's very high ceilings and very tall walls on it. So it does lend itself to displaying artwork, and I think that's what we'll see there. Some of the people that are already using it, largely not-for-profits, will be relocated, and I know that we're concerned about where they'll be, but there is a number of sites, and everyone will be accommodated.
How quickly will this move forward? What?
I think very quickly. I don't know the actual timeline itself, but I know once we've given them the green light, and that was last night's meeting, that things will progress very quickly. So, and we need a place to get the artwork out of VIU. They have plans for the space, so this just works really well, and I think it's a very big positive for the downtown core.
Excellent. Thanks. We're going to be back. We're going to talk about the Wilcox property, a transportation hub for the city of Nanaimo, later on this edition of Go Island. In the meantime, we're heading down to Victoria for a whole other kind of transportation. A lot of people these days are getting around on scooters, but how safe are they? You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We're having our regular bi-weekly meeting, our conversation with the mayor that follows the alternating Monday night's council meeting. We've met with Ted Greaves, the acting mayor, earlier. John Rattan is here now. We're talking about the Wilcox property, a proposed, more than a proposed now, transportation hub for the city of Nanaimo. A memorandum of understanding was reached and adopted last night.
With the RDN, the Regional
Okay.
District of Nanaimo.
And what is in that understanding? What are the
Well, what
parties?
it is, basically what the vision that both the RDN and the city have is to make that a true transportation hub. And we have looked at a site to move the bus service down more into the downtown core. Where it is now, right by the RCMP station on Prideaux, is not convenient for everyone. It involves some hill climbing and so on. So we feel this site at the Wilcox Yard will really lend itself for convenience. We're trying to dovetail in as well the Tofino bus people if they're interested, and the coach lines up and down the island. We're trying to have a complete bus hub there as well. And remember, we're working very hard trying to get that high-speed ferry back. It will also be in that same location if and when it starts up. And the rail service to Victoria, the first train of the day, if the schedule is adhered to, will leave around 7 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 to 7, and it'll leave from that same location in Wilcox Yard and go straight down to Victoria.
What does that mean for all the industrial uses? Because those businesses and those operations still need to operate. Where
yes,
do they go?
Well, they have long-term leases, and we have to work around them. You can acquire the land, but you also acquire the leases that are existing. And so there's long-term leases with C-SPAN in there and others as well. And so we're going to be working with them on it. So it does create a challenge for access and egress from that site. Yeah. And we are going to have to look at the viaduct, the old bridge, to access it. It is in need of repair, and we're looking at options with that as well. But it's a wonderful site, and it just seems to fit so well. It's right beside the Port Place Mall. They've made a huge
ship terminal.
the cruise ship terminal. It's all there, and it's in the downtown, and that's our whole focus, to try to bring business to the downtown, bring people to downtown, and I think this will do that.
And at what stage will the Nanaimo First Nations be included and brought into the process?
Well, we have been involved with a number of discussions, and we're going to have another meeting on the 28th of this month, so later this week, and we're going to sit down and run through the whole issue of that site, and we're going to get on to other subjects that we want to discuss as well. The Colliery Dam will probably come into the conversation as well with First Nations, so we want to keep, we meet on a regular basis, and we want to keep them up to date on what we are doing and hear from them what their views are and what they'd like to see.
Okay, lots going on.
Lots
in
going
the
on.
city of
pretty
Nanaimo
exciting.
these days. It is. We're going to throw things over now to Sam Numsen. We're taking a road trip, and you don't have to go far from home to enjoy all of the things that you can on a road trip. You don't have to go far. That's exactly what we're doing next in Kamloops. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. Every other Tuesday following the regular Monday night Nanaimo City Council meetings, we have conversations with the mayor to recap what happened the night before. If you have any questions for the mayor about any specific issues or about how municipal politics work in general, we're here to help you out. You can give me an email, kate.bergen@sjrb.ca. Thanks for watching this edition of Go Island. We'll see you next time.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.